On Tuesday night, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick and tied the greatest goal-scoring record in World Cup history. Roughly 24 hours later, the man who has chased him for 20 years stood 10 yards from goal, twice, with the net begging, and missed both. Cristiano Ronaldo shook his head. Walk back. And in those two misses, a question that Portugal has spent 3 tournaments tiptoeing around suddenly got very, very loud. Not can Ronaldo still do it? The harder one. The one nobody in Portuguese football wants to say into a microphone, is Cristiano Ronaldo now the thing standing between this team and the trophy he's spent his whole life chasing? Because Portugal didn't lose tonight. But they didn't win either. They were held, 1-1, by a team playing its first World Cup match in 52 years. And the more you look at how it happened, the more uncomfortable the picture gets. So let me take you through the whole night, fairly, both sides, because this is either a blip or the beginning of the end of an era, and by the time we're done you'll have to decide which. Here's the stage. Portugal arrived at this World Cup as one of the genuine favourites, and for once, that wasn't hype. This is arguably the deepest squad they have ever taken to a tournament. A frightening midfield. Pace everywhere. A team built to win it all. Their Group K opener, in Houston, was supposed to be a gentle start. Because the opponent was DR Congo. And you have to understand what tonight meant for them. This was their first World Cup match in 52 years. The last time they were here, in 1974, they were called Zaire, and it went catastrophically, beaten by Scotland, hammered 9-0 by Yugoslavia, knocked out by Brazil, 3 games, 3 defeats, not a single point. For half a century, that was the whole story of Congolese football at a World Cup. They came into tonight having never taken a point in the tournament's history. And then there was the other headline. Ronaldo, at 41 years and 132 days old, became the oldest outfield player ever to start a World Cup match. He joined Messi as one of only 2 men to play in 6 different World Cups. In a stadium of nearly 69,000, most of them in Portugal shirts, it was set up to be a coronation. It did not go to plan. It started perfectly. Inside the first 6 minutes, João Neves rose and headed Portugal in front. 1-0. Exactly the script. And for a while, Portugal looked every bit the favourite, knocking it around, the ball glued to that brilliant midfield, Congo pinned back and hanging on. But football doesn't care about reputations. And right on the stroke of half-time, in first half stoppage time, Congo got their moment. Yoane Wissa climbed and headed home. 1-1. And just like that, a team that hadn't scored a World Cup goal since the days of Zaire was level with one of the tournament favourites, and you could feel the belief surge through them. Now Portugal had a problem. They had a half to break down a team that had just realised it belonged. They had the better players, the better midfield, the deeper bench. What they needed was the one thing this squad is supposed to have in abundance, a finisher to put the chances away. And that is exactly where the night turned into something much bigger than 2 points dropped. The second half was a story of Portugal knocking on the door and the door not opening. In the 55th minute, they thought they'd done it, João Cancelo with an acrobatic bicycle kick, the ball in the net, the bench up. And then the flag. Offside. Chalked off. 2 minutes later Congo nearly stole the lead themselves, Cedric Bakambu rattling the post. And then came the 2 moments this whole video is really about. The 68th minute. The ball drops to Cristiano Ronaldo roughly 10 yards out, his best chance of the night, the kind of opportunity he has buried 10,000 times across 2 decades. He pulls it wide right. He shakes his head. 5 minutes later, the 73rd minute, an almost identical chance arrives. A carbon copy. And he misses that one too, also wide right. 2 gilt-edged chances, from close range, in the space of 5 minutes, and the greatest goalscorer the men's game has arguably ever produced couldn't take either. Bruno Fernandes had a chance to win it late and dragged it wide as well. But it's the 2 Ronaldo misses that the cameras kept cutting back to, because of what they represent. He finished the match without a single shot on target. It was the 6th time at a World Cup that Ronaldo has ended a game without a shot on goal. And his goalless run in the tournament now stretches to 5 matches. Let's put numbers on what we just watched, because they're brutal. Ronaldo had a golden chance tonight to make history of his own, to become the first player ever to score in 6 different World Cups. Win that race, and he'd have stepped out of Messi's shadow for at least one night. He didn't take it. The record stays out of reach. And the drought is the part that should genuinely worry Portugal. 5 World Cup games now without a goal. 6 career World Cup matches finished without even a shot on target. This, from a man who built an entire legend on being the most ruthless, most relentless finisher of his generation. The body that scored in finals, that dragged teams through tournaments, that bent physics for 20 years, tonight it couldn't convert a tap-in's big brother from 10 yards. That's not a knock landed in bad faith. It's just the scoreboard talking. And it raises the question that has hung over Portugal for 3 straight tournaments now: at what point does the greatest asset become the hardest problem to solve? And here's what makes tonight sting more than any ordinary off night. Look at the timing. 24 hours before Ronaldo was missing from 10 yards, his eternal rival was on the same World Cup stage scoring 3 and writing his name into the record books. Messi soaring, Ronaldo stranded. The two of them have been measured against each other for the better part of 20 years, and rarely has the split screen been this cruel or this clear. That's not me being dramatic, that's the calendar. Tuesday, a Messi masterclass and a piece of history. Wednesday, a Ronaldo blank, 2 sitters spurned, and a draw against a team ranked nowhere near Portugal. For a rivalry built on the idea that these two exist on the same impossible plane, this World Cup has, in its opening days, drawn a very hard line between them. And it's forcing a conversation Ronaldo's most loyal fans have spent years refusing to have. Because it isn't just fans and rivals saying it now. It's the analysis desks. And one line from Sky Sports tonight cut straight to the bone. Their take was that Portugal's tournament has, for the 3rd time running, been clouded by the same single question: what role Ronaldo should play. And then the part that lit social media on fire, that Ronaldo arguably has the best midfield 5 behind him that he has ever had at international level, and that if anything, he now appears to be limiting them. Sit with that, because it's the heresy at the center of this whole debate. The argument isn't Ronaldo is past it. The argument is sharper and far more uncomfortable, that this Portugal team might be better without their greatest ever player in it. That the gravity of Ronaldo, the way everything is built to feed him, the way teammates look for him, the way the whole shape bends around a 41-year-old, is now costing them more than his goals are worth. When a side this talented can't beat World Cup debutants and your superstar misses 2 from 10 yards, that argument stops being a hot take and starts looking like a tactical reality. Now let me be fair, because this channel doesn't do hit jobs, and the case for Ronaldo is real too. Start with the obvious: he was in those positions. At 41, the oldest outfield player to ever start a World Cup match, he was the man arriving on 10-yard chances at the back post. Most players his age aren't within a decade of that pitch, let alone sniffing those positions in the 73rd minute of a World Cup. The misses are damning, the movement that created them is not nothing. Second, one frustrating night is not a verdict. Strikers, even the greatest ones, go through droughts, and a single group stage draw doesn't end a career or a legacy. His own coach, Roberto Martinez, brushed the concerns aside straight after the game, about both the team and the drought, and he's not wrong to keep a cool head one match in. And third, there's the cost of the alternative. You don't casually bench the most decorated player in your country's history, a captain and a talisman, on the back of one missed chance and a punditry soundbite. The dressing room, the fans, the shirt sales, the leadership, Ronaldo is woven into all of it. Dropping him carries its own enormous risk. So is this proof the era is over? No. Reasonable people watched the same 90 minutes and landed in completely different places. But that's exactly why it's a story. Because the doubt is now undeniable, the pundits are now saying it out loud, and Roberto Martinez has a decision coming that could define Portugal's entire tournament. Step back, and this isn't really a story about one bad finish. It's about the one opponent nobody beats, time. Ronaldo has called this his last dance, the final chase for the one prize that has always eluded him. And the cruel arithmetic of sport is that the very thing that made him immortal, that ruthless, repeatable finishing, is the first thing the years take away. The will is all still there. You could see it in how hard he took those misses. It's the execution that's fading, frame by frame, tournament by tournament. And it leaves Portugal with the hardest question in football: do you build around the legend, or around the team? Honor the man who got you here, or back the 11 most likely to lift the trophy? There's no clean answer, and whatever Martinez decides, half the planet will tell him he's wrong. And maybe a quick word of perspective, because nights like this can swallow it. The parents of Diogo Jota, the Portugal player who died, with his brother, in a car crash last summer, were in the stands tonight. A reminder that beneath the debates and the records and the missed chances, this is still, in the end, just a game, played by people, watched by the people who love them. Whatever you think of Ronaldo's night, that part is worth holding on to. So I'll hand it to you, and be honest, because this one genuinely splits people down the middle. Is Cristiano Ronaldo still Portugal's best chance of winning this World Cup, or has the moment finally come where the greatest is holding the rest of them back? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I already know this one's going to be a war. A like genuinely helps more than you'd think, and if you want World Cup coverage that asks the hard question instead of dodging it, subscribe, because Portugal's next game just became one of the most important of the entire group stage. Football at this scale is never just a tournament. It's a moment in time. And in Houston tonight, the greatest goalscorer the game has known stood 10 yards out, twice, and the whole world saw the same thing he did.